The Walker family lived in a quiet suburb of Los Angeles. Parents Jess and Bill were raising their 3 children, CC, Wyatt, and Miles. Jess was a dedicated architect, while Bill was a passionate guitarist. Their oldest daughter, CC, was a 17-year-old soccer star, and their middle child, Wyatt, was a 13-year-old academic prodigy aiming for Yale. Their youngest, Miles, was a fun-loving kid who spent most of his time playing with their dog, Pickles. The night before a very important day for their family, Jess, CC, and Wyatt each had a big challenge ahead. Jess had a career-changing architectural presentation. CC had a crucial soccer tryout that could determine her future in the sport. Wyatt had a nerve-wracking Yale interview. Wanting to spend time together before their big day, the family decided to visit a planetarium for a fun outing. However, their trip was far from peaceful. As they stood on the observation platform, the family started arguing. Jess and CC disagreed about priorities and responsibilities. Bill and Wyatt clashed over music versus academics. Meanwhile, Miles ran around with Pickles, adding to the chaos. In the middle of their heated conversation, they asked a random woman named Angelica to take their photo. She watched them bicker, listening to each person say they wished the other could understand what it was like to be in their shoes. Angelica smiled mysteriously and snapped the picture. At that moment, a cosmic blast struck the telescope above them. A powerful shockwave knocked the family off the platform. The telescope was damaged, and everything around them glowed with an eerie light. When they woke up the next morning, something wasn't right. Jess and CC had switched bodies, the mother now trapped in her teenage daughter's body, and the daughter stuck in her mother's life. Bill and Wyatt had also swapped places, forcing the father to live as a 13-year-old genius and Wyatt to navigate life as an adult musician. Just as they began to process what had happened, they saw something even stranger. Miles and Pickles had switched bodies too. Confused and panicked, the family realized that the planetarium incident must have caused the body swap. Now, with a career presentation, a soccer tryout, and a Yale interview all happening that day, they had no choice but to navigate each other's lives, whether they were ready or not. As the French bulldog, now inhabited by Miles, tore across the lawn, the family chased after him. They followed the small dog as he raced into their neighbor Rolf's yard. When they finally caught up, they found Rolf, a stern but kind man, watching in amusement. Seeing how out of control Miles was, Rolf offered to teach Pickles some obedience. With no other option, the family agreed and decided to focus on breaking the body swap curse. They all went to the planetarium, hoping to reverse what had happened. However, when they got there, they were told that the damaged telescope was still being repaired. Desperate, Bill and Wyatt secretly bribed the maintenance crew to finish the repairs by evening. Realizing they had no choice but to go through the day as each other, they left Miles Pickles with Rolf and went their separate ways. Meanwhile, Jess CC had to accompany Jess to work, where Jess was expected to give a big presentation that could lead to a promotion. CC, now in her mother's body, had no idea what to do, so she binge-ate ice cream while Jess, in CC's body, prepared index cards to help her through it. The presentation started off awkwardly, with Jess struggling to appear professional. Things quickly went from bad to worse when her lactose intolerance kicked in, forcing her to rush to the bathroom mid-meeting. By the time she returned, it was clear the presentation was a disaster. Next, they headed to CC's championship soccer game. Jess, now in CC's body, was determined to do her best. However, her lack of athletic experience made things difficult. Just when she started to find her rhythm, an opponent was injured on the field. Instead of scoring the winning goal, Jess CC instinctively ran to help the injured player. The team lost the game, and CC, watching from the sidelines in her mother's body, was frustrated. The day was proving to be far more difficult than any of them expected. At the high school, the extroverted Bill Wyatt walked in with confidence, completely unlike the usual Wyatt. His easygoing and charming nature immediately caught the attention of other students, putting Bill, who was trailing nervously behind him, on edge. Wyatt had always been socially awkward, but seeing his dad effortlessly navigate the hallways as him was both strange and frustrating. However, things took a turn when it was time for Wyatt's Yale interview. Bill Wyatt's casual and laid-back attitude didn't impress the college representatives at all. Used to Wyatt's highly intellectual responses, they seemed confused by his behavior. Despite Bill's attempts to play it cool, the meeting was underwhelming, and the reps weren't impressed. As Bill Wyatt waited in the hallway after the interview, something unexpected happened. Ariana, Wyatt's childhood friend and longtime crush, approached. She had never seen Wyatt so confident before, and to his surprise, she confessed her feelings. She admitted she had liked him for a long time and invited him to a party that night. Bill Wyatt, taken aback but thrilled, accepted without hesitation. That evening, the Walkers returned to the planetarium, hoping to undo the swap. However, their hopes were crushed when they discovered that a lens was missing from the damaged telescope. The staff informed them that the part had to be shipped from Switzerland, meaning they couldn't fix it anytime soon. Feeling defeated, they stepped outside, only to bump into Angelica, the woman who had taken their picture the night before. To their surprise, she was now working as a Lyft driver. Without recognizing them, she offered them a ride home, and the family, too exhausted to argue, reluctantly accepted. That night, Bill Wyatt and Jess CC sneaked off to the teen party, eager to enjoy their unusual situation while it lasted. Meanwhile, Wyatt, Bill and CC Jess were stuck at Jess' monthly moms gathering, where Jess' friends excitedly shared parenting stories and neighborhood gossip. Feeling trapped, they cut the meeting short and rushed off to find their younger counterparts before things got out of control. At the party, Ariana leaned in to kiss Bill Wyatt, thinking he was the new, confident version of Wyatt. However, Bill, realizing the awkwardness of the situation, blocked the kiss, not wanting to mess up his son's life any further. Moments later, Wyatt's longtime bully showed up, mocking him in front of everyone. But this time, Bill Wyatt didn't back down. Instead, he punched the bully, shocking the entire crowd. Just as things escalated, Wyatt, Bill and Jess CC arrived, looking for their runaway family members. To their surprise, they found CC Jess in the center of the party, confidently busting out a full dance routine to "Bust a Move." The partygoers cheered her on, loving the energy, while Jess CC and Wyatt Bill watched in shock at how wild things had gotten. Adjusting to their new lives. With no way to switch back yet, the family was forced to continue in each other's bodies. However, things started to change for the better. At work, CC Jess took a new approach to the big project, insisting that the whole team participate in the presentation instead of her handling it alone. In doing so, she discovered that Jess had always spoken highly of her, constantly praising her talents and making personal sacrifices to fund her soccer camps. Seeing this, CC finally understood how much her mother had done for her. Meanwhile, at school, Jess CC tackled CC's tough math test and aced it, proving to CC's teacher that she was capable of excelling beyond just sports. She also realized that CC had been working harder than she thought, balancing soccer with school in a way that wasn't easy. When the two saw each other again, they both apologized, realizing they had misjudged one another's struggles. Just before the work presentation, Bill Wyatt called the entire family, urging them to come to his band's show, but something was wrong. Wyatt Bill was missing. When they arrived at the venue, they found Wyatt Bill hiding in the bathroom, terrified to perform in front of millions of viewers. Though he had always loved music, the idea of being on stage in his father's body overwhelmed him. Realizing he couldn't do it alone, Wyatt Bill enlisted the entire family as backup vocalists for the performance. The show started off shaky, but as the song continued, Wyatt found his confidence. By the end of the song, he was fully in sync, delivering an incredible performance that wowed the audience. Dead or Alive was officially selected to go to Hollywood. After the show, Jess' project team and Mr. Molson arrived with amazing news. Their company, Atlas, had won the account, and Jess was officially promoted. Though still trapped in each other's bodies, with Wyatt's contact at SpaceX securing the missing lens, the Walkers raced to the planetarium, determined to fix the telescope and undo the body swap. They carefully placed the lens onto the telescope, holding their breath in anticipation. However, nothing happened. Confused and disappointed, the family looked around, hoping for a sign, but the platform remained still. With no cosmic blast and no reversal, their hopes were crushed. As they left, Angelica was waiting outside with her lift. She drove them home again, quietly listening to their frustrated conversations. As they climbed out of the car, Jess turned back to Angelica and wished her a Merry Christmas. She sighed, saying that they hadn't been successful in fixing the telescope. Angelica smiled knowingly and replied, "You weren't supposed to fix the telescope, you were supposed to fix what's broken." The walkers paused, letting her words sink in, before she drove off into the night. The next morning, the walkers woke up in their living room, and immediately realized they were back to normal. Excited, they checked one another, confirming that everything was finally as it should be. As they celebrated, Wyatt's phone buzzed with a notification from Yale. He opened it with nervous anticipation, but the response was clear. Just then, he noticed Ariana standing outside, waiting for him on the porch. Smiling, he walked out to her. Without hesitation, Ariana leaned in, and Wyatt finally got his first kiss. Meanwhile, as the walkers enjoyed their Christmas morning, a knock on the door surprised them. When they opened it, they were met by a representative from the national soccer team. The recruiter spoke directly to CC, letting her know that they were still interested in her. Although she hadn't scored the winning goal at the championship, her compassion for an injured opponent had impressed them. To them, character mattered just as much as skill, and they saw potential in her. As the walkers exchanged joyful glances, they realized that, although their lives had been turned upside down, the experience had brought them closer together. They may not have fixed the telescope, but they had fixed what was broken, and in the end, that was all that mattered. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.